All right, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're setting out on a deeply personal, completely unapologetic journey. We're literally charting a course from distraction and weakness straight to formidable competence. Look, if you've ever felt like you're just drifting, or maybe the world around you is incredibly loud but your own inner voice is dead silent, well, this is absolutely for you. We're going to explore how ignoring societal distractions and committing fully to your own personal growth can forge a life of incredibly deep meaning. We've got a ton of ground to cover, from extreme ownership to mastering self-discipline, and I promise you, the frameworks we're diving into today, they're total game changers.
Okay, let's dive into this. What would you actually do with your life if you weren't afraid? Like, what would you do if you knew for sure you couldn't fail? So often we let fear dictate our boundaries, right? And the thing about fear is, it's incredibly wide, but usually it's only about an inch deep. We look out at this massive ocean of risk and think, no way, I'm gonna drown, when in reality, you just need to take a single step to realize it's really not that deep. But to figure out the answer to this question, we have to cut through all that societal noise and really demand some rigorous self-reflection from ourselves.
Because let's face it, we are constantly bombarded by distractions. We're scrolling social media, chasing every new cultural trend and exhausting ourselves trying to live up to everyone else's expectations. To actually find your path, you have to ruthlessly cut all of that out. You've got to shift gears into a fierce personal focus. You have to commit to finding your own way before you can even begin to guess what the consequences of that path will be. Tuning out the world's expectations and going all in on your personal growth isn't just some nice self-help idea. It is literally the mandatory first step to actually hearing the core of who you are.
And when you finally make that shift, you arrive at this incredibly powerful realization of what a meaningful life actually is. It's the heavy but honestly glorious realization that absolutely everything you do matters. And this forces a really stark choice on us. Look, you can choose to just wander aimlessly, chasing quick dopamine hits and completely dodging any real responsibility. Or you can choose to carry the weight of knowing that every single action you take is actively shaping your future. There's real glory in taking on that weight, you know? What you're doing today is directly, inextricably linked to exactly who you become tomorrow. So, let's move into section 1, the power of extreme ownership. Extreme ownership basically means taking absolute unrelenting responsibility for your life. It means looking at a bad situation and having the guts to say, this failed and it's on me. Now, even if a situation was, say, 95% someone else's fault, or maybe the economy just tanked, you still have to look in the mirror and ask, okay, but what did I do that wasn't as good as it could have been? Where did I fail to look? Discovering your own errors, especially the ones your ego is secretly in love with, is painful. It really is. Our ego just naturally rejects it. But taking absolute responsibility is literally the only way you can genuinely fix the problem. And this brilliantly illustrates a really powerful paradox. Pointing the finger inward actually reclaims your power. Think about it. Wherever you point the finger of blame, power follows. If you blame your boss, your partner, or the world for your life, you're literally handing them all the power over your existence. But if you turn that finger inwards, it's unbelievably empowering. Yeah, for sure, it hurts, but it's liberating because it means you are completely capable of fixing your circumstances. You take back absolute control over your own fate. Which brings us right to section 2, forging discipline and competence. All right, here's the ultimate reality check when it comes to motivation versus discipline. Motivation is essentially just waiting around for a fleeting feeling before you act. It's a fickle friend. You cannot count on it. If you wait until you feel like it, you are going to be waiting forever. Discipline, on the other hand, is doing the thing in spite of not wanting to do the thing. True progress only happens when you execute the plan without the desire to do so. It's that harsh realization that if you skip a workout today just because you're tired, you can never, ever get that time back. You just have to get in there and keep going, completely regardless of the feeling. So, what does this discipline actually look like in everyday practice? Honestly, it's the boring work. You know, the stuff nobody is ever going to make a movie about. It's managing your time, eating a healthy meal instead of ordering takeout for the 3rd time this week, saving your money, writing that tedious email follow-up sequence you've been avoiding. Think of it like the Rocky cutscene. In the movies, that grueling training montage lasts, 3 minutes? But in real life, almost every successful person has had to grind through 5 to 10 years of doing incredibly unglamorous, boring work without a single drop of immediate reward or applause. True success just requires sheer volume. You've got to remember this. We don't rise to the standards we have when others are watching.
We fall to the standards we have when no one is watching. The only work that truly matters is the work no one sees. That's the stuff that shows you who you really are. Your ultimate scorecard isn't public praise or likes on a post. It's simply witnessing yourself doing the hard, boring work when nobody is around to give you credit. With each bit of hardship you endure in private, you're proving to yourself that you aren't an imposter.
All right, shifting gears a bit, let's look at Section 3, articulate speech as a weapon. You know, society sometimes tries to tell us that being harmless and weak is somehow a virtue, but it's really not. You actually want to make yourself formidable and dangerous. And by that, I mean having incredible capabilities, but keeping them under strict, voluntary control. You should want to make yourself so incredibly competent that you can confidently take your proper place in the world. Why dangerous? Because it's literally the only alternative to being weak and just getting pushed around by life. Let's move to the next step and see how this builds. Because how do you actually become dangerously effective? It happens through 4 distinct steps. First off, you learn to think clearly, because clear thinking is what lets you act effectively in the real world. Second, you learn to formulate coherent arguments. Third, you master speaking and writing. And then finally, step 4, as a direct result of all that, you gain authority, influence, and respect. If you can clearly lay out a proposal or formulate an argument coherently, people will literally open doors for you. Mastering your speech translates directly into real-world power. I mean, think about it like this. Words are your sword, your M16, and your bulletproof vest. Articulating your thoughts is the absolute ultimate array of weapons against remaining ignorant or just getting run over by your circumstances. If you can think, speak, and write effectively, you become absolutely deadly in the pursuit of your goals. When your communication is that sharp, nothing can get in your way. Now, we have to address the giant dragon in the room. Section 4, Action, the antidote to anxiety. Consider the really profound difference between waiting to go and actually going. There's a brilliant combat analogy for this. When you're driving toward a target, sitting in the vehicle, your mind goes crazy, creating these terrifying worst-case scenarios. What if this goes wrong? What if we fail? But the second that vehicle stops and your boots hit the ground, all those what-ifs just disappear. You're completely in the moment, just doing the thing. The longest, most agonizing moment in the world is the waiting. The fear practically vanishes the absolute second you begin execution. Action is the antidote to anxiety. You need to state this bluntly to yourself whenever you feel stuck, lost, or directionless. If you're just sitting there, paralyzed, letting a downward spiral happen in your finances, your career, or your relationships, you have to snap out of it. Prioritize and execute. Take one single action to solve your biggest problem right now. The only way to figure out what you actually need to do is by hurrying up and doing it. People are constantly waiting for their perfect conditions. They tell themselves, oh, I have no money, I don't have a network, I don't have the resources, I can't start yet. But listen, having nothing going for you actually makes you incredibly dangerous. It means your baseline is already the absolute worst-case scenario, which means you literally have nothing to lose. You can take endless shots on goal because failing just puts you right back where you already started. The perfect condition to start is the exact condition you are currently in, right now. And that brings us to our ultimate conclusion in Section 5, unifying goals for true freedom. So the crucial point is this. Are you a disparate bundle of warring motivations just getting pulled in 100 different directions by whatever fleeting desire pops up? Or are you integrating all your horses to pull your chariot in one single deliberate direction? It is a psychological necessity to commit to one difficult goal. When you manage to align all your energy and all those disparate parts of yourself toward one unified target, your chances of actually arriving at a meaningful destination absolutely skyrocket. Because if you have discipline now, it'll give you freedom in the future. Let's connect the dots here. The grueling discipline, grinding out the boring work in the dark, and taking extreme ownership of your failures, these are the literal price tags of true freedom. If you lack the discipline to manage your own time, you inevitably become a slave to having no free time. But if you apply that heavy discipline today, you buy your freedom for tomorrow. And here's a truly fascinating realization. You don't actually need external enemies to motivate you. Your greatest battle, your ultimate challenge, is the internal nemesis. It's your own feelings of inadequacy, your pride, your envy, your lack of faith. It's the lesser version of yourself. You don't need to demonize other people to find a worthy opponent, because the eternal battle between chaos and order is fought entirely inside your own mind every single day. Which brings us to a pretty heavy question, one that really forces you to look right in the mirror. Are you ready to stop making excuses, do the boring work, and actually claim the life you want? The tools are all laid out for you right here. Take absolute ownership of your failures. Act without waiting around for motivation. Sharpen your words into weapons and move instantly to kill your anxiety with action. A life of incredibly deep meaning is waiting for you, but you're the only one who can forge it. So, what's your next move?